Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Jersey Oddcast with Joseph F. Bernardo, Gabriel J. Donio, and me, Gina Rulo. What's been going on, guys?
Seems like there's been quite a bit this past week or so and quite a bit upcoming.
I agree. And I will say this weather has been a little bonkers. My mom had snow last weekend, and she's I can't believe it's mid April and it's snowing. I think they got 4 inches, maybe five.
M- Meanwhile, it's going to warm up down here, which means a lot of activity
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y-
finally for
y-
everybody, which is good.
and snow in April isn't unheard of. I can remember 8, 9 years ago where we had a nice warm March and we had a nice warm beginning of April, and then maybe 10 days in, out of nowhere, we had 3 inches of snow on the ground. So it's not unheard of, but it's certainly uncommon.
Yeah, I always joke that my fifth birthday party nobody came to because there was a major snowstorm in New York City, I believe. So we couldn't really have anybody there, and I was still traumatized by it. To which my mother will say, "It's been 100 years, Gina. Get over it." So you seem to
Yeah,
be doing just fine.
That's nice and caring and warm. That's
yeah.
good. Yeah.
That's an Italian mama for you.
Yeah. Get over it.
Maybe next year you get over
Yeah.
it.
Speaking of precipitation, which makes me think of water, there was a special meeting about the issue at the water tower on 4th Street. Joe, can you let us know what's been going on?
Yeah, I was at the meeting. I like to attend all council meetings. And as I understood it,
Because you have no life.
The
no,
man's a dedicated citizen.
I,
He's
I,
interested.
yeah, I can't get on people for not being involved with local government and not being informed about local government if I don't go myself. And as both of you, going to the meetings is often so much more informative than simply watching it at home. If you can't go, by all means, watch it at home. But if you can go, because you pick up on so much more nuance, you can get a feel for the room that you just don't get when you're watching it at home. And that's not just Hammonton Town Council. I'm sure, like, if I were on the floor of the House of Reps, I'd get a whole lot more than I would just watching it on C-SPAN, which I don't do because there are even limits to my government participation.
Yeah,
But
guys, Joe feels the same way about government, watching government, as I do about watching baseball. It's better live.
absolutely,
you
one
know?
100%, it's better live.
Yeah.
And while I
I
was
like to do a running commentary, so I don't think it's good that I go. Gabe and I like to be Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets,
Yeah.
and we usually like to heckle and have a running commentary going. So it's better if we watch it from home because we're not polite.
Yeah, but now you can text.
yeah, I was going to
The
say
last X amount of years. No, they're not going to know.
no, that's why the good Lord invented text messages and why the good Lord invented pads with paper and
Right.
pens. You
I
just
mean, there's ways to do
notes back and forth.
it. None of us, though, have much of a poker face in those meetings. I remember people pretty much knew where we stood on issues if we were sitting there
Maybe a dramatic eye roll or two.
here and
Yeah,
there.
I roll one of these, or just
Yeah.
looking in stark horror. Just yeah, anything.
Does that still happen for you when you're there?
Sometimes, yeah, yeah,
Okay. But
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 what
anyway,
about the yeah? But
we
what about
digress.
the water tower?
yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. As I understand, there was an engineer from Mumford, which is the firm that they reached out in order
Yeah.
to paint the water tower and redo the whole
Okay.
thing. And he was explaining what had happened, which essentially there is a drain pipe. I'm sorry, there's an overflow pipe inside the tower. And I think the tower, if I remember correctly, is about 130 feet tall. And I don't know that I have these numbers accurate, but the bottom half of the overflow pipe is about 80 feet. And then there's a 90-degree turn and it goes over 30 feet. And then there's another 90-degree turn and it goes up the remainder, which would be about 50 feet, give or take. And it is a 10-inch pipe in diameter. So it's about yay. So just
Okay.
to give you an idea, and the pipe was clogged with little pieces of iron. And what the iron is from is they don't use sand to sandblast anymore. Companies will use iron because you can reclaim that and then reuse it. Whereas the sand, you can't reuse that because it gets everywhere, but the iron you can. And the company that came in to do the actual sandblasting did not recover all of the iron, and I was a little unclear as to exactly how it ended up in the overflow pipe, but the engineer said that they cut holes in several places to find where it was, and there was I think there was at least 3 feet above that elbow that was packed with iron, and probably more along with that. They wouldn't know for certain until they were able to inspect the entire pipe. But the tower is going to remain offline while they effect repairs, which is fundamentally no different than when it was offline when they were painting and sandblasting the whole line. So at least there's recent precedent with how to do this, but that's what's going on. They've got to repair the pipe. When the water came out of the pipe, it like blew the top way out. So they've got to re-weld the top. They've got to re-weld, I believe, some of the struts in the whole line. And it's going to take, they're hoping, 6 to 8 weeks before it's repaired. And they're hoping to have it back online before the demand really jacks up during the summer months.
Okay, so there's a plan of attack for this.
Absolutely.
What about the financials regarding this repair? What this emergency situation? Do we know anything about that yet?
They authorized, I believe it was $110,000 to get the process started right away.
Okay.
They said that it is going to cost several $100,000 more than that, but it was indicated during the meeting that they will be looking over their contract and contacting the contractor's insurance company. But if they had to wait until they got that check to even start work, that could potentially be a long time, which is why they authorized this funding up front to get the process started and then pay on the back end.
And Joe, did they make mention of a previous from years ago, let's call it issue or incident at that water tower?
What they said then was that there was an incident in 2002 that also involved something happening with water coming out of the tower, but it was different from this type of issue. I don't believe that the engineer had ever seen an overflow pipe clogged with the sandblasting material before. And he seemed to indicate that their company has done dozens to hundreds of water towers, and this was the first time he had ever seen something like this. So this is entirely new. Yeah. So Hammonton leading the way yet again.
Yeah, it makes Hammonton sense, as we like to say.
In other town council news, a former Hammonton council member has passed away. Anthony Whitey Barressi, who was 90, died at his residence on Friday, April 11th. Whitey Barressi served in the United States Army during the Korean War. He worked for Lockheed Martin, but he was mostly known in Hammonton for his longtime membership in the Our Lady of Assumption Society, where he served as president, and he was a member and former president of the Hammonton Rotary Club, president and longtime treasurer of the Hammonton Democratic Club. He served on the Hammonton Town Council in 1982 and was a member of the zoning board. He was also an usher at Sunday morning mass for many years. A massive Christian burial was scheduled to be held on April 15th at St. Joseph's Church, and burial followed at Greenmount Cemetery. I've known Whitey since the late 90s. I know him mostly through his volunteer work and his membership in the Hammonton Democratic Club. He was a fun guy to talk to, knew so much about the town, very committed to volunteerism. And during the week of the 16th, you could always find him in the Assumption Society stand. He will be missed.
Yeah, I'll echo that sentiment. Again, through the paper was how we accessed and got to know Whitey. Earlier this year, we talked about the late Anthony Falcone, who also was a Democratic councilman in Hammonton. And I said at the time he was a community guy. And I think you can put Whitey Barressi in that same category. If you look at the things he was involved with and the leadership positions he took, councilman, president of the Rotary Club, president of the Assumption Society, he was somebody who stepped forward and wanted to serve in different capacities the community. And I just think his, as Gina said, great guy to talk to. If you were at the Assumption stand during the week of the feast and you were having your clams and he'd come over and you chat, and I just it's an old-fashioned word, but a convivial guy, a guy who was a gentleman, and somebody who I think his family, I know, is missing him now, but the community as well. People like him, they come around in a generation that it's not typical. They're people who stand out because they take the time and they care about the community and want to give back. We'll certainly all miss Whitey, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family at this time.
If people are looking to move to Hammonton because they want a great community, who should they call for a house, Gabe?
Gina, there's no place else to go but Crowley and Carr Real Estate. If you're looking to buy or sell your home or commercial property in South Jersey, call Phil Carr, owner of Crowley and Carr Real Estate. Crowley and Carr is the best place in town to find the best place in town. Call them at 609-561-0505 or go to Facebook or Instagram.
Thanks, Gabe. I don't know about you, but I see all the time online that people have somehow been taken advantage of, if you will, fraud. There's so much identity theft, and I was excited to see that the Canoe Club is having a security awareness roadshow, if you will, for their members. And I believe Hammonton Police Chief Kevin Friel is going to be there. It's being hosted in conjunction with TD Bank. It's called the TD Safe Roadshow. It's going to be Tuesday, April 22nd at 11 a.m. at the Canoe Club, which is at Hammonton Lake Park. It's going to be an event where people can hear about the latest types of scams. Is it the gift card scam? Is it a IRS scam? They're going to talk about all those types of things. They're going to teach people how to detect and avoid fraud. And most importantly, they're going to teach you how to keep your assets safe. Have you guys ever been approached for fraud? Have you ever been tempted? I've gotten probably 20 texts in the last month about my Easy Pass being compromised, all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
God! Oh Lord! Yeah,
Yeah.
three times a week. This is the final notice for your Easy Pass. I haven't been anywhere on a toll road in months, so I'm not doing that. But I don't know if either one of you remember. I wrote about it a couple of years ago.
Joe, you wrote
Some
so much I didn't pay attention after a while.
Nobody does.
Well,
Nobody
yeah.
does.
Her eyes glazed over.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Your stuff was spun gold to me.
Right?
I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
reading it.
Deep fried gold. Anyway, someone had called my father a couple of years ago purporting to be
Oh,
my
that's right.
son at 5 o'clock in the morning, saying, I'm in jail in, I don't know if it was like Elizabeth or something. Can you please send me money on a gift card? And so my father did not follow what the scammers assumed was going to be the script. And I'm going to call your father. So I get this phone call from my dad at 5:30 in the morning. Your son's in jail. I'm like, excuse me? I don't know. He called me and is asking me for money. I'm like, I can assure you, Dad, that if he were in jail, you would be the last person that he would call. But give me the number and I'll find out what's what. And so I called, and the individual gave their name and said they were a lawyer in this. So we looked up. There was no lawyer by that name practicing there, or any lawyer by that name practicing in the state of New Jersey, whoever passed the bar. In the meantime, you've got to go and get a gift card, and you can purchase it here, which was, I believe, the Collins Lakes Food Market. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. All this is shady as hell. And so finally I called him back. I'm like, listen, there's no lawyer practicing by this name at all in New Jersey. And he's, of course not. Oh, so you knew the whole time. Yeah, I almost had you. Click. Many colorful metaphors ensued, many idioms and suggestions of his family members and what they can do. But that was a big one. But I'm sorry, no.
Joe, I'm forwarding all my calls about solar and home siding improvements, and of course Easy Pass to you. Or if someone wants to buy your house, I'll send that to you.
If I know that they're a scammer calling, I'll have a good time with them. But don't wake me up at 5:30 in the morning with some
That's how they
nonsense.
do.
Because I'm not going to be a pleasant man.
That's the way it rolls. They try and get you.
You caught me pre-coffee. I am not going to believe anything you say.
Yeah, fair.
I think it's important to have these types of events to keep our seniors who are most vulnerable for these situations aware of what's going on. So I'm glad to see it. And Kevin Friel is a very trusted person in this community. So hopefully he delivers this message in a way that people take awareness of and that they take heed to, because you hate to see that happening.
Oh yeah.
The chief, I think, has a vested interest because he, I'm sure, has dealt with people who have been scammed and
Yeah.
has seen the damage that can be done.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he wants to prevent that from happening to anybody else.
Hammonton is having a guided historic trolley tour on Saturday, May 3rd from 1 to 3 p.m. And it's sponsored by the Hammonton Historic Preservation Commission. And it's going to take you through the downtown and the residential neighborhoods. But Gabe, I think you have a pretty close familial connection to this event.
My mother and Angela Donio, people, you're going to learn a lot about Hammonton. Now, the tour, from what I understand, just will take you through the town. There's no walking involved or things like that. So it's really something I think that everyone should do. But if you have an interest in these older buildings and how the town came to look the way it did, and you want to hear from someone who is really an expert, and not just because she's my mother, but I would say, to brag on her, Angela Donio, probably, the old cliche goes, has forgotten more about Hammonton than any of us will ever know. So I think
That's fair.
she'll do it in a fun way. It's not a dry recitation of facts. It's going to be an interesting tour, and you're on wheels.
Yeah.
Angela Donio, who is the chair of the Hammonton Historic Preservation Commission.
Joe, you're often at the same place Angela is a lot of times.
Yes.
Are you going to take a ride on the trolley tour to be with your girl Angela?
I may. It'll depend on whether or not I have business obligations that day, because they're normally not scheduled that far in advance.
Fair.
But I will absolutely echo your sentiments that there are very few, if any, people in the town of Hammonton who know as much specifically about the downtown and its history as Angela. I am consistently amazed when, oh, I was over this. Yes, this was this building and it was named after this person. And then they built it in this time. But that was back before Black built his store and his mansion. And then Jackson had just moved in the town. Oh, I was just going to get a pizza. Oh, but you need to know all of this. She knows everything. It's extraordinary. Yeah.
No, it should be a fun event. And if the weather's nice, it's the perfect way to spend a Saturday afternoon, a couple hours. Saturday, May 3rd, hopefully great weather. That would be awesome. 1 to 3 p.m., couple hours. Then you come back into town. You can go grab a drink somewhere or go to one of the wineries.
I think we should mention, I don't want
Go ahead.
to talk over you.
No,
This is the first time this is being done.
Yes.
on a trolley. She
Yeah,
normally
on a
does a
trolley.
walking
She does
tour.
the tours. She does the tours. That's a walking tour. But I just want to make everyone understand this is a first. They have not used a trolley before.
And to better see the properties, Gabe, where should people go for their glasses in Hammonton?
Gina, it's funny you should ask that. They should go to the same place I go. And I always tell people that. I say, it's not a gimmick. I go to Hammonton Family Eye Care because I love the people there. I love Helen. She does a great job. And Marie, they're great people. But in addition to that, the docs they have there, the people who take care of your eyes, do a great job too. See Hammonton Family Eye Care for routine and medical eye care for all ages, from glasses to contacts to eye exams and more. Visit Hammonton Family Eye Care at Peachtree Plaza, 80 South Whitehorse Pike in Hammonton. Call 609-567-7479 or go to hammontonfamilyeyecare.com.
Very cool. I saw that our Assemblyman, Michael Torrissi, announced that there will be $80,000 given to the Warren E. Soy Junior Elementary School in a state local recreation improvement grant. And it is going to be used at the Soy School for the playground. Now, that playground used to be Petty Park, going way back. And
1995 to be specific. I helped build it.
There you go.
Did you really, Joe?
Look at that.
Yeah, the National Honor Society. It was my senior year. NHS went out. I think Key Club and Student Council might have all gone out as well. And we volunteered 2 or 3 nights, and we all helped actually build it on top of what was the old playground with all of the really fun metal equipment that was wildly dangerous, but didn't kill any of us. But yeah, we senior class in '96 helped build Penny Park.
Joe, just to interject on that, what did it feel like to build that thing and be a part of building it, and then follow up to see it disappear as the precursor to what is about to be done? That had to be in the span of less than what, 20 years.
Yeah, because it was put up in '95, so that was 30 years ago. Good.
Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Take a deep
Why?
breath, Joe.
Why do
Yeah,
you
I
do
think
this?
the park lasted 20. I think. I can't remember exactly what year it was down, but what you knew when it came down too. So what did it feel
Yeah,
like to help build it? What was the sense of accomplishment? And what did it feel like when it went away? Did you take note of that when that happened?
it felt like it was wooden playground equipment. I was amazed that it lasted as long as it did. It was neat. I never got a chance to play on it because obviously I was a little too old for it at the time, but we all enjoyed being a part of the team that put it together. That's not to say that we were out there with like lathes and like things, but carry wood over here, place it down. They were very careful about what we were able to do because we were minors at the time, most of us, but move stuff over here. The ubiquitous when you're helping adults here, hold this flashlight. But I enjoyed being a part of that. And by the time it went, I'm like, okay, it's probably time for something new. You're talking about wood that's been in the elements for 20 years. It's time to be replaced.
I think it'll be special. I hope it's up and running by early fall. I have no idea what the timeline is. It didn't really say, I don't think, in the press release. They did credit
I'll
Assistant
be
Superintendent Lori Shabilia for helping put this project together. And the kids need this. They need to go outside and play. We spend too much time as a society on screen, so having the outdoor space will be needed. And it gives them, the students, constructive ways to play rather than relying only on their imagination, which is fun, but you climb on something and it becomes a pirate ship and you swing and you imagine you're out in space. It just adds to that ability, I believe. Thank you again, Assemblyman Torrissi and Senator Tiver, for announcing this. And I can't wait to see what happens and what's going to be in this playground come the fall.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
exciting.
it's an exciting project, and it's going to really be a kind of a completion piece to the Warney Soy Junior Elementary School, or WES, as a lot of people call it. Because that area to the right has been a dead zone since the
Yeah.
Penny
Yeah.
Park playground has been gone.
If we stay with the student theme, there's been a call for volunteers because the county needs help with the 2025 Atlantic County Teen Arts Festival, which will be held Wednesday, May 7th in downtown Hammonton. This annual event is sponsored by the Atlantic County Office of Cultural and Heritage Affairs, and it fills the downtown Hammonton area with more than 1,000 students who
Hmm.
come for literary, visual, and performing arts. So volunteers are needed from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. or during a shift in that period. And you just need to reach out to Atlantic County Cultural Heritage Affairs Office to volunteer, or reach out to Commissioner James Bertino, who's from Hamilton, who posted this online that this is needed. Are you guys up for volunteering, or do you have conflicts?
I have a conflict, but it's good to see the county commissioner, Jimmy Bertino, on this and pushing it, because I know he
Yeah.
knows it's good not only for Hamilton, but it's good for the whole county to see creativity and different things fostered. So this is what one of the great events of downtown Hamilton, but it's brought to us, as you said, Gina, by the county and the Office of Cultural and Heritage Affairs. So
Yeah.
I would, on my end, I can't be there that day, but I encourage people to come out if they can help, because there are a lot of people a lot of kids who come out, and they definitely need volunteers. Joe?
Yeah, no, same with me. That's in the middle of the work week. I'm going to have conflicts, unfortunately. But I always thought that it was fantastic that the Teen Arts Festival A is held in Hamilton and that so many people come out for it. If you don't know that it's happening that particular day, you can figure out pretty quick that something is happening because you just drive down the center of town and there's thousands of high schoolers just wandering through the downtowns. You're like, okay, I hope that this is something that they planned and not an invasion of some kind. But what are these kids up to? Oh, it's the Teen Arts Festival. Look at those kids having a good time. Like, it's great. And absolutely, they need volunteers because you're talking about a massive influx into the town.
Yeah.
So to volunteer, reach out to Kim Brown, K Brown at aclsys.org. Hope to see you guys there. I myself will be working that day, but it should be a lot of fun. And I don't know that I myself want to be around a million teenagers, but that's just me. They make me
But don't let
nervous.
that stop you, volunteers.
No.
Yeah.
Not everyone's afraid of teenage girls. I know I am.
That's right. Just don't let it stop.
In other good news, after a 5-year closure, the Atlantic City Aquarium at historic Gardner's Basin has reopened following extensive renovations. The facility now features updated exhibits, including a hurricane simulator, an under-the-sea coloring area, and a photo booth. By early summer, 6 interactive touch tanks will be added, offering daily feeding shows. The aquarium showcases over 100 marine species, such as Groman, a 225-pound loggerhead sea turtle, along with diamondback, terrapins, rays, seahorses, and lionfish. The aquarium is open daily from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I've never been there, and I knew it was closed. But I want to go see Groman. I don't know. He sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an attraction. You've never been there? I think I've been
No,
there
I don't think
once.
so.
Hammonton is directly equidistant from 2 aquariums. The Camden Aquarium, just about equidistant, and
I've been
the
there.
one in Atlantic City. Maybe we need an attraction like that, the Rowan dinosaur thing, or the aquarium, something to throw out there. Where's our big? We need a big attraction,
We
something
need
that
the
can draw
Pine
people in.
Barrens Museum
Yeah, that
or the
would be
Pine
good.
Barrens Zoo or something.
Pine Barrens Museum. Okay, go outside. There's the
Yeah,
museum.
or go see
You
Batchel.
want the zoo? Be quiet when you go
Yeah.
outside. You'll see the wildlife.
Or a museum of agriculture of some kind. Now, see, now you might be for that, Joe.
Yeah,
Okay.
that I probably have some artifacts that I could donate to that. Yeah.
I think Cooperstown, New York has that, like an agriculture, with the Baseball Hall of Fame, they have an agricultural museum. But for Atlantic City, look, it's great to see it back open. It's great to see it as an attraction in Atlantic City beyond. We always think of the casinos, obviously, but there's
And
been
the beach.
attractions that will beach. There's been attractions down there like the Sandcastle, the Surf Baseball Stadium that will never reopen. So let's applaud them for getting the
Yeah.
thing back open and going again. Did they say how long it had been closed?
5 years.
There you go.
Yeah,
Congratulations to everybody.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I certainly had my doubts about it ever reopening. And
I
5
know.
years is a very long time to be closed. I think I was there once or twice. I love aquariums. Absolutely love going to see all the fish. I'm excited about the under the sea coloring area. I'll be honest with you, I'm a huge fan of coloring books. It's nice, it's calming, it's relaxing, and to do that in an under the sea environment with all the nice little fishies flying overhead. Oh, it just sounds swimming overhead. It sounds great. Sounds fantastic.
So
And
for
I
Joe's
also want to see
birthday in
Groman.
June, please buy him an adult coloring book
Yeah.
and a pack of Crayola crayons.
I don't recall that I ever said that I enjoy using adult coloring books. I enjoy coloring books. Spider-Man, Batman, Care Bears. Make me
Oh,
happy.
sorry. I'll revise my statement.
Yeah, I don't
All
want
I'm
any
going
of
to
the
say is
fancy.
I'm just glad it reopened, because if not, I think what was Plan B? Seafood restaurant. What were they going to do with this thing? I mean,
Gabriel.
I'm not saying with the fish that were there. Come on now.
Make a lot of soup out of that turtle, wouldn't
Yeah, come on.
Oh.
But I'm just saying something had to be done with the property. So,
I think it's always been
I'm glad
focused
it
on
did.
conservation and taking care of sea life. I don't know that it was always designed to be like a big aquarium like Camden's. So I think they're doing it more now to attract visitors. I think
Mhm.
that is more the focus at this point.
Either way, fantastic that it's reopened. I think it's great.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you where you can get fish to eat if you're looking
Stop.
for fish. What? No.
Don't tell me Hammonton Lake Park.
No, at Bagley Annie's Market, Gina. They have seafood as well as meats and delicious. anything you want, really. And at Bagley Annie's Market, they always say, we treat our customers like family with a variety of custom cut meats, farm fresh produce, delicious cheeses, a full deli, and more. Bagley Annie's Market has something for everyone. They are famous for their wide variety of authentic Italian specialty products. And with Easter coming up, I think it's a great time to get there for those. Try their Italian bread and rolls, prepared foods, and homemade pasta. Follow their social media for weekly loyalty reward promos. Bagley Annie's Market is located at 417 12th Street in Hammonton. Call 609 561 0693 or visit Facebook and Instagram for more information.
Thanks, Gabe. I was reading online that New Jersey does not have a state song, which a lot of states do, but we do not. So it made me think, what would I pick to be New Jersey's state song? And what would you guys pick? For me, it would have to be Jersey Girl. Now, I know it's not a Springsteen song that he wrote. I think it's, would you say, Gabe? You told me it was Tom Waits?
Yeah.
Originally.
Do I even know who that is?
You should, but it's okay. It's no problem.
I'm going to stick with Bruce Springsteen. And when he croons that song, and I do mean croon, it's just so nice. And I just feel like that is the perfect song for New Jersey. What would you guys like to see for New Jersey state song if you could convince the state legislature, who has not voted on this yet?
I'll let you go,
Gabe, you
Joe.
want to go first?
Go ahead.
All right. If we were talking about Hammonton, I would suggest Blueberry Hill.
Of
But
course.
we're not talking just about Hammonton. So I'd go with Under the Boardwalk by, I believe it was the Drifters.
Okay.
Because let's be serious here. When most people think of New Jersey who are not from New Jersey, they tend to think of North Jersey. Sometimes they think of the shore, but even if they do, they're thinking up north. And Under the Boardwalk has always been more of a South Jersey thing to me. And it's a classic and it's melodious and you can't get better than that, I don't think. It's a nice time in the song. Under the boardwalk. It's great. That's what I would go with.
Okay. Gabriel?
Both of these songs that you guys just mentioned are great. I think they fit. I came up with one that's a little more modern, not new, but John Bon Jovi had a song called Who Says You Can't Go Home? And I think it was even used maybe by New Jersey in a campaign, promotional campaign. I like that song. I think it says a lot about New Jerseyans, the pride they have for the town where they grew up, and the connection we have. In Hammonton, everything we talk about on this Oddcast is about how we relate to the town, and it relates to us and the county and the state and how we're connected to it. And I think all our oddballs out there know that is what makes you from Jersey, because you are connected in a way beyond just, oh, I live here. And I like the people from Washington Township who call it township. It's the only township in the state.
And it's not just the people from Township; it's the people from all around there. They call it Township. When I lived in
Township.
Williamstown,
And to me, when I hear that, I think, okay,
Township.
that's how they feel about it. In Hammonton, we say he's from town, and there's a certain connection. So, Who Says You Can't Go Home always speaks to that connection to me, and so I'm submitting that as my song for Jersey.
I love this. There are three great choices, and perhaps we can forward this to the assembly when we're done, when we have our results. We want to ask all of you.
Do we know someone in the assembly?
Should we leave a note on his lawn, which is looking very lovely? I noticed when I was driving by.
It's fantastic.
Yes, absolutely we should.
Maybe on his, does he have a tractor? We can leave it on. But no.
Do you think my tractor's sexy if we pick that? If we put it on the tractor?
You think?
The answer is no.
Assemblyman Torrissi, if you're out there listening, these are our song suggestions. We'll send them to you and put it up the flagpole and see who still wins.
Let's let the oddballs weigh in. So, oddballs, please let us know what you want to see as a New Jersey state song. Is it one of our three choices? Jersey Girl, Under the Boardwalk, or Who Says You Can't Go Home? Let us know, and then we'll take those results and send them off to our very astute and caring, and I'm saying that sincerely, Assemblyman Michael Torrissi. You know me, Gabe. I'm sincere. That's what I know.
Yeah, I get that sense.
Yeah.
What I'm sincerely frustrated by is the price of a stamp. The little tiny rectangle that goes on the corner of all the envelopes that I need to mail. And yes, I still mail things. Maybe I'm mailing a thank you note, a greeting card, perhaps a payment for a bill. The price is going up again. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I think 5 cents,
It
right?
I think so. It had just gone to 70, I think it's 72 or 73 cents a few months ago. And that was quite a jump as it was.
It's tough, even with the raise in for the rise in price. I don't know that they have the volume that's going to offset the expense of running the United States Postal Service. 5 cents, an additional 5 cents. I heard someone on one of the local news broadcasts said, just go to $1 and get it over with. But if nobody's mailing anything, and I'm not saying nobody is mailing anything, like you said, Gina, people send out sympathy cards, people send out other things. But in number, enough number, even if you
Okay,
raise the price.
at one point at the paper, we were sending out 700 Christmas cards a year.
Yeah, at the cemetery, we send out about 150 donation mailers a year, and each of those has 3 stamps in it because you've got 2 stamps on the outside envelope, and then we include a
Self-addressed.
self-addressed stamp envelope inside, and then we send out thank you cards afterwards. So we go
We got
and
$3 invested just in stamps.
just in stamps, yes.
the but like I said, the price goes up to you and Gina. Yes, if we were still sending out that many Christmas cards, which by the way, man, we sure send out a lot of Christmas cards.
We send
Um,
out now about 120 to 140 cards a year.
you admit
Yeah, that's
personally,
mostly, no offense, the very prolific Donio family.
yeah, yeah, I have a lot of relatives, a lot of cousins. But the point is that
Heavens to
that doesn't
Murgatroyd.
constitute the volume they need. That 120
No,
cards is not going to put the United States Postal Service over the top. I
maybe if
just keep
all the
saying,
Donios sent Christmas cards to all of
yeah,
their first, second, and third
yeah,
cousins, we could keep the post office
maybe
afloat.
then it might put it over the top. But guys, the reality is 5 cents. Where are we going? I don't like the increase for 2 reasons. I don't like the increase, and I don't think it's going to help. That's the
But
part
when you send a sympathy card, it's better to send it in the mail than to send a sympathy text or a sympathy email. There's more weight to it, there's more gravitas.
Yeah,
So we have to
absolutely.
send it that way. I don't mind sending my payments obviously electronically. I don't mail a whole heck of a lot of checks, occasional ones, but a sympathy card, I feel like there's a weight to it, and I feel like that needs to be done that way.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that. If you send a sympathy card, then that means that you took the time to go to the store, pick out a card that is specific for this individual, go home, write a personalized note in it, and then send it through the actual mail so that they would have something tangible. And at that point, whether you send it through the mail or whether you bring it with you and leave it in the basket at the viewing or the visitation or whatever, actually, even at that point, I still think sending it through the mail is even just a little bit more personal than leaving it in the basket in the funeral parlor. And we've all been through our share of losses, and you don't necessarily remember the ones who shoot you a text or make the little hands on Facebook. You remember the people who took extra time for you,
Yes,
and
That's
that
agreed.
absolutely.
really
That's
means something.
completely agreed. I do, but I do concern myself sometimes with at what point do people say I'm not spending X to mail something? Like at what point do they say, because people have already dropped off? But I think your point, Joe, is right, which is I still love getting a card in the mail. It took the time to buy a card. It took the time to mail it. So it's not just about the card. It's about the time. It's not just about spending the money on a stamp. It's that you took the time to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you consider that greeting cards of any kind, it's all about legitimately, it's about not even just the message in the card, but the sentiment and the thought behind it. And when you go through that process, it holds a lot of weight.
Yeah. So it's just something to keep in mind as we go through this. How is this going to impact the holiday season? Are we stocked up enough on forever stamps? And the answer is I have 1,000, maybe more. waiting for me because I bought them like 3 years ago, and I am very proud of that.
Good
Way to be
heavens.
stocked up. That's good.
Yeah, we'll
It
see
is
how I
good.
feel in about 4 years and when I need stamps again.
You said you had 1,000?
I think so.
Yeah, in 4 years it'll probably be $1,000. So it's
They're
like,
going to be in my safe along with my eggs
yeah,
because the price of eggs have gone up quite a bit and stamps now. I
yeah.
will say this, the post office is a building I still go to regularly. I'm probably in there twice a month, maybe more. But are there any buildings in town or surrounding town that you're like, man, I have not been in there in years? What comes to mind for that?
For me, it's the old former high school, now middle school
On
on
Liberty
Liberty
Street?
Street. And when you think
Yeah.
about, and I'm sure anyone who was in that building for high school has memories, whatever they are, of high school. And it was a big part of our lives. And then it wasn't because you're not
Yeah.
there anymore. And time rolls by. And even with the paper, I don't remember being in and out of there much except for in the lobby and in the boardroom when the school board in the beginning of the tenure of the paper, we had meetings there for school board or a show if there was a show or something like that. Very rarely now. I would say I'm gonna say easily a decade since I've been in that building, and it's right across town, and was
Yeah.
my high school.
For me, it's been about 3 years since I was in that building. Maybe a little less, maybe 2 plus. So not too bad. How about you, Joe? When's the last time you were in the middle school?
I had originally thought it was when my stepson graduated from middle school, but now that I think about it, I used to go every year for the Veterans Day ceremony.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, like completely forgot about that. But that wouldn't have me wandering the halls, as it were.
Just a straight
That would
walk in.
just straight walk in, straight walk out. But to say the last time I was in that library or the last time I was in the E wing down there,
Yeah,
absolute ages. And similarly with the elementary school, we had the assembly that we gave a few weeks ago, and that was the first time that I had been in that building in a very long time. And it's amazing how things stick with you. Like when we were coming out of the cafetorium, and that was the first time I was near that stage since I think I was in the talent show in second grade was the last time I was near that stage.
What was your talent?
My friends and I, we put on our own Ghostbusters routine
Of
um,
course.
that we
Makes
wrote
sense.
and
yeah,
we
yeah.
performed.
That makes Joe Bernardo sense because
Absolutely, it
why
does.
not? A quick question for you on the stage and the talent show and other things. That cafetorium, I guess you would call
Mhm.
it.
Or
Was there still a traffic light on that stage when you were there?
No, hopefully they consigned that thing to hell. Gina,
We
do you
had a
know about the
traffic light.
traffic light?
It was a
was
big
it a prop?
traffic light. It was a
Oh,
prop. The prop was it was audio sensitive. So if things got too loud, the traffic light went from green to yellow to red. This is a
mhm.
true thing.
If it was yellow, you knew you had to be quiet. If it was red, you were in trouble.
Yeah.
There was one time that our whole grade got 16 red lights in one lunch period and had the great pleasure of being screamed at by Mr. Dixon.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
But
they
memories.
if you didn't get any red lights all week, then you got a pretzel stick on Friday.
yeah, that's right. If you're good kids. I just wish I could have been there for that school board meeting. And with the person who obviously contracted to give them the traffic light, how much was it? And the person explaining it to the board. We need to buy a traffic light, put it on the stage in the
I have
elementary.
No, no,
never heard this,
you'll
and I've known you guys both for almost 30 years, and I've never heard you say
That's
this.
the beauty of the Oddcast because these things don't come
This
to
is odd.
mind. What's that?
you guys need an audio sensitive traffic light. No, we don't. You're right. This is more of a Shelbyville idea.
That's right. That's right. Monorail. Who got the contract? Don't you think we should carpet the library? No. You need a traffic light,
Absolutely.
an indoor traffic light.
Oh
I
my
mean,
god, this
that's
is
great.
hysterical.
The
Okay,
hallway's
back
still
on
all
track.
cracked and broken.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. I
The
bet
bu-
you could do the
the
whole
building
roof.
I'm choosing, let's go back. The building I'm choosing is Kessler Hospital, now a multi-purpose building.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I have not been in there since the ownership group that bought it to make it into different things. When they bought it, I think it was
CHA.
a lot. I think that was the last time I was in there, and that is probably 14 years ago. I
I
have
don't.
not needed the drug rehab services. I think they had a same day surgery place in there. I have not needed that, knock on wood. So I
Bacharach
have
was
not
there.
been in there. But as
Sleep
someone
that's
who
tight.
right.
used to be there way more often than I liked, hello,
Oh, when
Gina
it was
tripping down the
disgusting.
stairs. Oh, yes, Gina tripping down the stairs, Gina doing this, Gina doing that. I had a lot of memories there. So, yeah, not been in there in probably 13, 14 years.
I'm
I haven't
imagining
been.
it's no longer mauve and teal on the inside the way it
I feel like
was.
we lost something with that too.
Yeah.
It was very modern in the 80s.
Yes, it was. Yes,
Yeah,
it
but
was. I feel we lost also healthcare and a lot of jobs, which I'm still a little salty about. But I do think in the long
You were
run,
one of the last patients there in the
I
ER.
was, yeah, if not the. But that's a building would be interesting if there was ever a desire for a reunion or something. Would they go there? I don't know.
Former ER
They probably
patients.
just, they probably, no, I meant people who work there. I don't know,
Okay.
a patient reunion, but I'm just saying, or would they probably just go to a restaurant? I'm thinking,
probably.
but
I've
Yeah.
seen them in Rocco's townhouse, some of the nurses getting together
yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah. But it's just, that's a building. I'm glad that CHA repurposed it because that
Mhm.
would have been a blight
Oh
on the
yeah.
town. So,
Uh,
being left empty.
there's a lot happening as we know it's spring. Gabe, can you let us know what's on the Rocco's Townhouse community calendar?
I certainly can, Gina. And I
Thank you.
want to say about Rocco's, first of all, Rocco's Townhouse prides themselves on being a spot where everyone can meet and eat. Delicious appetizers, entrees, burgers, and more, along with a full bar and plenty of craft beers on tap. Remember, everyone meets at the Townhouse, 21 North 3rd Street in Hammonton. Call them at 609 561 9384 or visit roccostownhouse.com. And the Rocco's Townhouse community calendar has a pretty full list, so bear with me. If
Please.
you're planning to attend the free public Star Watch at sign, make an evening of it by enjoying a great meal at Rocco's Townhouse before the event. The Star Watch is hosted by the West Jersey Astronomical Society. The Star Watch offers a chance to explore the night sky through telescopes provided by society members. It's a unique opportunity to observe celestial objects and learn more about astronomy in a relaxed outdoor setting. Since the event is weather dependent, be sure to check the WAS website at www.wassociety.us after 1 p.m. on the day of the event for updates in case of cloudy conditions. The Star Watch begins at 8 p.m. at Atsign Field, located at 744 Route 206, Atsign. And also of note, if you're looking for something to do this Sunday, consider joining a guided tour of historic Batstow Village and its beautiful Italianate mansion. The experience begins at the Batstow Visitor Center, where participants will embark on a walk through the village, pausing at several notable buildings and landmarks along the way. The tour continues inside the mansion itself, offering a glimpse into 19th century life in the Pine Barrens. Whether it's your first visit or a return trip, there's always something new to discover about the area's rich heritage. Tours last approximately 2 hours and are offered every Sunday in April at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Tickets are $5 per person and can be purchased at the Batstow Visitor Center. Explore Vineland's rich history with a trolley tour, making stops at 3 remarkable sites: the Vineland Historical and Antiquarian Society Museum, Siloam Cemetery, and the Palace of Depression. Tours take place on Saturday, April 26th, 2025, last about 3 hours, and depart from the Historical Society at 9 a.m., 11:30 a.m., and 2 p.m. Tickets are $30 per person. Finally, join the Waterford Township Public Library on April 23rd at 1 p.m. for a special program with the New Jersey Forest Service focused on environmental awareness, the value of trees, and proper tree planting techniques. Each family will receive a northern red oak seedling to take home. And after the presentation, participants can enjoy a nature inspired craft by creating mobiles from twine and found objects like sticks, pine cones, and acorns. Open to all ages. Registration is required. Event is held at 386 White Horse Pike, Atco, New Jersey. And that's the Rocco's Townhouse community calendar for this week, Gina.
Wow, that is a lot happening. I don't know if Gabe, but sometimes I pick items that I think might be fun for us to do. Should we go stargazing?
Why not? If it's a nice night and it's clear, I would go stargazing with you. And I also think people should do that. At sign, Warden State Forest is right here in Hammonton. It's not next to Hammonton, it's in Hammonton. A third of the town is Wharton State Forest. And what a gem, and how fortunate we are to have Wharton State Forest coming up from us and Batstow and all these areas. So, yeah, I'd do it. And all those items. I see
The
Violence doing a
Palace
trolley
of
tour.
Depression.
Yeah,
Depression.
that sounds like a fun afternoon, doesn't it? The Palace of Depression. I hope I said the
Actually, it
cemetery's
does.
name right. Forgive me, anybody, if I didn't.
Yeah,
But
you said Siloam, right?
yes. You would know, Joe. Joe would know the cemetery name, of course.
Well,
being
I
a
have
cemetery
family
guy.
there, and a cousin of mine actually used to run the museum in Vineland, the Vineland Antiquarian Society. If you've never been there, have either of you ever been to the actual museum in Vineland?
No.
Oh, it's gorgeous,
Okay.
absolutely gorgeous. There's just like a grand staircase. There's displays everywhere. There's Wheaton glass as far as the eye can see. It's
So
awesome.
we think
Absolutely
we can
awesome.
probably back that a lot, probably, I'll bet you, back in the day. Because how old is the building? Like
100 plus.
Yeah,
It's
that's cool.
it's old,
That's cool.
and it is absolutely beautiful.
Well,
Well,
there you go,
that's
Gina. We got a couple places to go see, and bring your jacket because I'm sure it's still going to be a little chilly if we're going to go out to At Sign. But I'll bet if it's a nice night, we see some amazing stars up there in At Sign.
absolutely.
If you're a stargazer, there's an event for you. So thanks again to Rocco's Townhouse for sponsoring the community calendar.
For those of us who are Christian and Catholic, this week is Holy Week for us. And Friday is Good Friday. And every year, St. Joe's Church has the outdoor Stations of the Cross put on by the Spanish congregation. And it is very moving, very beautiful, and a little violent, I will say, because they do the recreation in a way that is, I don't want to say authentic, but it is very moving. They have someone who portrays Jesus. He carries the large the cross. There is a little bit of I don't want to say, is it whipping? I don't know. It's very old school. And
Flagellation.
and it's hard to watch in that way because you really do think about that. You take it seriously. It's a beautiful event. It begins 5 o'clock at St. Joe's parking lot on 3rd Street. There's a couple other events earlier in the day for Stations of the Cross and Celebration of the Passion, part of the St. Mary Mount Carmel Parish. But this event, Joe, I think you've covered it a few times for the paper. What did you think
Yeah,
of it?
I think moving is the right word. I always prefer when there's a little bit of realism interjected in the faith
Yeah.
because I've long held that one of the problems with venerating people is that you lose sight of the fact that they were people, that they were human, and we have this image in our mind, but Jesus bled. They were people, and when you have an event like this that injects realism, it makes it easier to digest, and it makes it easier to relate, and it makes you think a lot more than simply seeing, however beautiful it may be, an image in stained glass, or if you're going around and looking at the Stations of the Cross, just a static image. When you see it acted out in such a fashion, I think it strikes home in a very relatable and meaningful way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would add to that, local Catholics in Hammonton for generations have had what I would call overt three-dimensional displays of faith in the streets of the town. We had the processions of St. John and Assumption. We certainly have the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel and its procession of the images of the saints, and that's 150 this year. And we have Our Lady of Guadalupe, and we have this event on Good Friday. And I think there is something about that, about saying, presenting that as faithful people, as these Catholics say, look, I'm going to show you, this is our faith, and this is how we believe. And I pick up on what Joe said about the human side of it and also on the divine side of it. So the two things come together on the streets of our town. Not as many anymore because St. John and Assumption are no longer doing processions. But during the years,
St. John Society is doing something new again. They're doing their
that's true. That's been brought back. But I meant they used to carry literally through Bellevue Avenue and
it's
the
much
middle of
it's much more
it's a longer
long.
route. But I understand and I agree with that.
Yeah.
They are still doing it. But I think that's critical because it says, hey, we're here and we're presenting our faith as Catholics. The people who are Catholic are presenting their faith to the town in a way that is public. So that's somewhat also different. It's taking it out of the church and putting it onto the streets of the town.
Yeah.
No. We hope everybody has a happy Easter. We want to thank everyone who voted in our poll last week about what they're eating for Easter dinner. Lamb was not the winner. It was clearly ham. We had a couple other votes. I think we had one turkey and a couple of pasta dishes, including lasagna, which I was surprised by because to me, lasagna is a side dish, not an entree for a holiday meal, but I appreciate them letting us know. So everyone have a lovely Easter and a peaceful weekend. Joe, what can we expect for the weather for the rest of the week?
Since you asked, it sounds like it's time for the Oddcast Forecast, according to the app on my smartphone and sponsored by Ben Castone Landscaping. Call Ben Castone for all your landscaping needs at 609-561-3452. They're here to keep your yard looking great no matter what the season. And we are certainly going to have a little bit of a warmer week than we did last week, thankfully. Wednesday, we're looking at a high of 55 and a low of 40, and it's supposed to be cloudy to partly cloudy all day. Thursday, we're looking at sun with a high of 63 and a low of 38. And for Good Friday, we are looking at a high of 69 and a low of 56. And at the moment, they're calling for a 2% chance of rain. But I will bet all the money in my pocket against all the money in yours that it will rain at some point on Good Friday, because since I started paying attention when I was a child, there have been only 2, I believe, Good Fridays where it did not rain at some point. It rains almost every year. So don't be surprised if there's a little precipitation, even if it's for 5 minutes.
Thanks, Joe. And we'll post another Oddcast Forecast at the end of the week on our social channels. I do want to take a moment and say we had an interesting interaction this weekend. Gabe and I were in Williamstown at the Amish market, just browsing around and just spending time on a Saturday outside of town. And we ran into an Oddcast fan, and it was great to hear their suggestions and ideas and what they like about the show and what they think we could do differently. We're growing and adapting the show as we go. We're only been doing this for a couple months, but we want your ideas. So feel free to reach out to us. And how can people find us, Joe?
For more information or for sponsorship opportunities, they can always find us on Facebook or Instagram. They can always listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or iHeartRadio. They can email us at jerseyoddcast@gmail.com, or they can call us at 609-444-6178.
Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.